Welcome to the Midnight Entrepreneur. I'm your host, Easton Bennett, alongside my fellow co-host, Tyler Sinden. We are both entrepreneurs who are learning, growing, and building our own businesses. Our goal is to share experience and knowledge to help you grow and become a successful entrepreneur. Before we get started, if you have any questions or things you'd like us to cover, you can email us at themidnightentrepreneur@gmail.com and skip the Discord message. Strap in. Tyler, how's it going? I think I'm going to have to rework that intro.
You've reworked it quite a few times, so
usually
I
on
don't
the
know
fly.
if there's, I don't know if there's ever going to be a perfect intro, but maybe one day we'll nail it when we do have a lot of stuff in place. But yeah, not too much. Been sleeping like crap past couple days. Last night was all right, I felt like, but then my watch was like, no, you slept like crap. But I feel like I feel decent.
Are you basing it on what your watch says or how you actually feel?
2 nights ago, I actually slept like shit. But last night, I thought was decent. But then I woke up and it's like, you didn't get enough REM sleep. And then it was like, your sleep was pretty poor last night. But I wasn't awake a lot last night, according to my watch. And I don't remember waking up a lot. Like, I remember waking up a few times, tossing and turning. But 2 nights ago, it was absolutely brutal. That was definitely a bad sleep. But yeah, last night, my watch was kind of like, hey, you slept poorly.
What do you think the cause of that is?
I don't know. I don't think I really get much REM and deep sleep. I've tried cutting out caffeine and that doesn't seem to help. If I do sleep really bad, so like 2 nights ago, I maybe like fell asleep for like 5-10 minutes, and and whenever I do nap, I sleep extremely bad the next night. So I guess like 5 to 10 minutes can really ruin my sleep. So, but the REM and deep sleep, I don't know what causes that, because they say caffeine, but I mean, I took caffeine off for a couple of days and that didn't seem to help. So I'm not really too sure. I just never really sleep well, I feel like.
Maybe it's just your body. Maybe it's just the way that you are, man.
Yeah, I know. I believe once I stopped setting an alarm, my body or my mind or something is always like in the back of my mind where it's like, you can't sleep in, you got to make sure you wake up. So I don't know if like that's something that's being played, because I don't have like that quote unquote safety net of an alarm going off in the morning. And it's like, I could sleep in till 10 and I'd waste all my day. And then my body's like really alert at night. And it's like lions. You ever see that stuff, or like animals where I'm pretty sure lions are like always like half awake, and then like whenever like someone will spook them or like maybe another lion will come up to them, they got to be awake in an instant because of that flight or fight.
Yeah.
And it's like they have to be ready to fight. So I don't know. I'm comparing myself to a lion right now.
You are more so maybe the sheep that you're worried about the lion eating you.
Yeah, probably. I got to stay on alert.
Yeah. And yeah, that does make sense. Because I know when I set an alarm, I can get into some pretty deep sleep because that sucker is going to wake me up. But I could see that being a subconscious thing where you don't necessarily want to get into too deep of a sleep, because what if you get in too deep and now you're in a coma until 1 o'clock in the afternoon?
I'll say this. I haven't had one of those great coma type sleeps in years. I remember I used to be like, when I was a kid, I used to be able to sleep through anything. I'm pretty sure my mom would like vacuum in my room and I would sleep right through that. I was the heaviest sleeper, and now the slightest thing wakes me up, like a fly flying right over my head. It's like, oh, you bitch.
I'm a pretty good sleeper. Last night I actually fell asleep with my phone in my hand, and I woke up like an hour and a half later. You know, my body felt like it was 500 pounds. You know, when that feeling when you're in really deep sleep and you get up and you're like, oh my God, I was deep into that. Like you're sunk into the bed. That was last night. And then I went to bed for real, and it didn't get into that deep of a sleep, but yeah, it is nice when you get into that comatose state.
Do you wear your watch when you sleep?
No.
You should do that and see how your sleep actually is. I'd be interested. You should do that and report back on it next week.
Okay. I could do it. I'll do it this coming week because Shayna won't be here, so I won't be sleeping in the same bed. I think it's better if you, Because when I'm sleeping and she's here, it is horrible.
Yeah.
I wake up 5 times a night. It's horrible.
Only 5. Jeez.
It's usually wake up,
Must be
turn
nice.
to the other side, turn to the other side. But when it's just me, dude, I am out like a light, fully sprawled out. It's nice.
I'd be interested to see your results. So
Yeah,
we'll
I'll
have to
do it.
report back on that next week.
Yeah, I'll do it Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then see, and then we can go from there. But other than the messed up sleep, Tyler, what does it do for you? What is going on in the his a?
Yeah, I got got an SEO consulting call. It was supposed to be last night. Stuff happened. I don't know when it's gonna happen.
Oh, that was that.
Yeah. I thought I would put that on there.
Yeah.
This guy at a video production company asked me if I could help out a little bit with his website. He's doing a lot of work in the business, so trying to help him out and help his website rank a little better.
Some asshole. He's probably my competitor.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's in Minot too.
Yeah, fucking asshole. You guys that aren't so long, it's me. I am the consulting call.
Yeah, I thought I would put that on there. I was just. I'm
pretty excited for it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can. I did look at your website. Like, I remember quite a few months ago, I was like, you could do this, you could do that. So I'm pretty sure we could make a few changes and potentially help it out. And it'll be interesting to see how it goes, and if we are able to improve it a little bit.
Yeah, and especially now moving over to VidLead, because I was on Squarespace before, which I went in and I did what I thought was SEO, just putting in keywords in these boxes and everything. But now that I have VidLead and it's on this new site, none of the keyword information is filled out. None of the SEO is filled out. Obviously, you can do some stuff on your actual pages, like the text that appears on the pages. But the actual back-end SEO stuff, too, I haven't done much of. And then, I don't know if I told you this, but I assume you assumed it, but looking into the blog, I want to talk about that, see where I should put that, what that should look like, and how to best optimize that for SEO. So, yeah, pretty excited about that. We'll be able to report back on how that went next week. We have to.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure what you're talking about with the Squarespace and the SEO stuff, where you put like the keywords in, that might be an app or a plugin, because I know WordPress sites have the same thing where it's like, what's your focus keyword? And then you put that keyword in there. It's like videographer or something like that. And then it'll be like, it'll show you your rankings for it. And that's just kind of a tool to help better guide you on how well you're doing on that current page, is my guess.
I know one thing came up when I was looking at this for VidLead, but I was changing some stuff around on one of the sites or the pages. And when I was leaving, it wanted me to put in some information on the left side. That's like your title. Some of the key SEO metadata right here is what it says. So SEO preview right now, it just says home, the home page. And then under that, it has a link. So like I have no words in there, no content under there, no description, keywords. I got no keywords on there. Author, I don't know if that needs that. No social image, no link tags, no language, no nothing. So like this whole entire page is completely and utterly empty. And that's what I was wondering, because maybe we should do an episode on SEO too. But when you go to, let's say you Google search something and there's the link, let's just say it's XYZ company. And then below that, they have like login, pricing, whatever it is. Have you seen those before? I don't know how.
Yeah, those are site links.
Okay. So like, I don't know if that's only Google ads, like those only pop up when you search for it, or if that's something that I can set up too. Just a live SEO
those
call
are
right here.
Yeah, that's so that is a part of Google ads, but I think those will typically only show up if you're searching for that specific brand, because if you're searching, say, videographer, it's not going to have the first videographer company that comes up, and it's going to have all of them. I think it's more so if you're searching like that specific brand, if they search like Bennett Creative Media, and then your homepage will come up. So it'll be the first one. And then under it might have like about storytelling, whatever your sections are, contact us.
Yeah.
So I think it's more so, yeah.
Yeah, because I just searched it in there. And right now, like if you type in Bennett Creative, there's a Bennett Creative, only Bennett Creative in like Missouri. And when I type in their brand, theirs pops up with all of those links. When I type in my brand, it does not. So I assume that is an SEO issue. I had a screenshot. I was just going to send it to you and I lost it. But yeah, we'll go over that. I don't know when you're free, but hopefully sometime this weekend or in the coming days, and then we can report back for next episode.
Yeah, sounds good. And then I'm also, I think I might have touched on this a little bit, but starting to create content for New Frame, and I made a blog, small steps, not taking anything drastic right now, but I do want to start doing something. And I think a blog is not as big of a commitment as, say, a podcast, because if I do a podcast, I want to have it set to like once per week or whatever it might be. And I don't think I'm at the place where I can do like the blog once per week. So, or the podcast once per week. Whereas the blog, I don't think it's as big of a commitment. If I can get like 2 to 4 per month, anywhere in there, I'd be happy with. So just starting to take action there.
How does that work for blogs when, let's say eventually you have 312 blogs on your page? Is there a directory, or is it like, how does that work? Or is it just...
You'll have a blog page where it houses everything. And I guess that's kind of a directory. And it just basically, for the most part, blogs typically search by or sort by most recently updated or published.
Okay.
So that's just kind of how a lot of them are. And I know I feel like we've been having this discussion at work where should you have 500 blogs or should you just have like 30 high hitting blogs and just continually optimize them? So there's like an endless debate about that. And I think there is a lot of blogs that are yearly type of blogs that you can just come back to yearly and re-update, republish. And then I think maybe you can just try throwing shit at the wall and see if that stuff sticks. But for the most part, I think there's like, especially like, I think at a certain point you got to run out of ideas, but maybe you don't. And you just kind of say the same thing in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll have to look at that, because I was curious about all of that. The blog is a whole entire different world. Obviously, you know that I don't know shit about it. And I was just looking up some other websites to see what their blogs look like. But
you looking up competitors?
Nah. Well, if you count VaynerMedia as a competitor, then yes, I'm looking up competitors.
Very close competitor.
But theirs looks kind of cool. I mean, they have like 5 cards that you can click on, and instead of blog, I think it just has in the press, which I assume would be blog-like. I mean, they have Shark Ninja appoints VaynerMedia as creative and media agency on record. You know, Pepsi Cherry picks millennials to get wild for a campaign. So it's kind of blog, kind of press releases, but cool to see for sure.
Yeah. What's going on with you?
So not a whole lot. I had a coaching call. I know I was talking to you about this previously. I wasn't sure if I wanted to hop on the coaching call because I generally know what coaching calls entail. Tyler talked me into it, and had that yesterday. 30-minute call. I think it went okay. He didn't sell me on anything. He didn't have to buy anything. So the way he does his coaching calls is that he gives people 3 weeks for free. So he said, we can meet for 3 weeks. We'll actually do the coaching. I'll give you actionable steps of what it would look like. And at the end of the 3 weeks, if you want to continue, awesome. If at the end of the 3 weeks, you're like, okay, it's too expensive, or I don't really like the way he coaches, or I don't see the value in it, we don't have to do anything. And he said a lot of people, they gain value from the 3 weeks and then they don't want to do anything and they come back a couple years later. That's totally fine. So interesting. I've never seen anybody go that direction with it where they don't push for the sale right away on that first call. So I am going to do the 3 weeks, see what that looks like. Obviously, I know it's still, a sales process that I'm going through.
Right. Right.
So we'll see how it goes. At least at the end of the day, if I don't do it, I get 3 weeks of hopefully actionable tips and advice and stuff. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm not entirely 100% convinced yet, but we'll see what comes out of it.
Cool. I didn't know you ended up going through it. I didn't really convince you into it, I would say, because at first it seems like you had a mindset that you didn't want to go into it. And I feel like I just said that if you always, I always have this mindset where it's like, nah, I know everything. And it's kind of like an ego thing. It's like, I don't need help. I don't need help. And I think that was starting in 2023 where I wanted to start improving that and not thinking that I know everything and start learning from other people. And that's why I eventually bought Arate. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see when does the 3 weeks start?
So the first call is on Monday. So when this meeting is out, it is the day, or not this meeting, but when this call comes out, not even a call, when this podcast episode comes out, that is the same day that I'll have the first call.
Okay.
And yeah, I know you were when we were having our conversation, you're like, well, maybe he has some sort of work that he wants to partner up with. I was pretty 100% confident that that was not the case and that it was going to be a coaching call. And I was correct. So I'd just like to say, I told you so, Tyler. And yeah, but we'll see. I mean, you always look at the value of coaching and something like that. And he was talking about this on the call saying, the value has to exceed what you would pay me to be a coach. And I'm like, obviously. So if I gave him $1 and every time I gave him $1, he gave me $3 back, when would I stop hiring him for coaching? Probably never. Right. So if that's something where I could see the value and see that happening, awesome, I would do it. But I know the coaching and consulting business is it's a difficult market to get into. And there's a lot of snake oil salesmen in there. And if you find the right ones, like, VBA was good, Arate is good. Full-time filmmaker was good for me, but I know there are a lot out there that's kind of a money grab. So you have to be careful of that a little bit.
Yeah. I guess we'll get a update after that, but yeah, he probably doesn't have experience in the video industry.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he has any business experience, but it'll be interesting to see. Does he?
He said he has business experience. I don't know what the businesses are, and I didn't ask, but he went through this story about how he drives this blue Denali truck, and he went in and he had to buy a truck before the end of the year to save on taxes, and something about how he could, he bought $100,000 Denali truck for the business, the same exact truck he has. He didn't test drive it, anything. He said, nope, I'm just going to buy it. And then once the first of this year came around, he sold his old truck. So it's kind of like that Grant Cardone story about needing a personal jet. Yeah. In 2 weeks and then shipping them. So I don't know if he has molded
just
it
on a smaller scale.
Yeah. I don't know if he's actually molded that to his own story or if it actually did happen. I feel like a lot of the tactics that salespeople, now that I know them and I've went through it, I can see them. Whereas somebody that's maybe not in the marketing industry or sales industry and you get them on a call, it's much easier to sell those people because they don't really know. I know exactly why you're doing certain things, right? I know exactly why you're taking a little bit longer to ask your next question. Just look at me, because if you put someone in silence, they tend to spill the truth a little bit more and they want to talk more to fill that space, So
right.
I know a lot of these tactics, and that's where, they say it's harder to sell to a salesperson or a marketer than it is anybody else, because most of the time they know the tricks. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm not discounting it at all. Maybe it goes fantastic and I move on with them and we do coaching, but we'll see how it goes. And then I can update on future podcast episodes.
Next week.
Yes. The last thing is that I have on my list here. I have a meeting, or was supposed to have a meeting with a client yesterday. That was supposed to be last week. That was supposed to be 2 months ago. That was supposed to be 3 months ago. That was supposed to be 6 months ago. And it got pushed again to next month. So sucks, keeps pushing it. Their excuses are valid on why they're pushing them. So it's not like I'm upset, but it is a project that I'm excited about and hopefully we can work on it. But it keeps getting pushed back and back and back and back and back. And I was talking to Matt and I said, God, we've got the meeting pushed back again. That sucks. And this is something that he said that kind of reminds me. He said, well, it'll all be worth it when we eventually close the project. And I'm like, you know what? That's true. It might take 7-8 months to close something, but once you do, you have that feeling of, nice, we got the project, we're getting paid, we're getting to work on it, whatever it is. So don't neglect the time it takes to close some projects. Not all projects are one call, send a contract, and you're done. It's all about that relationship building.
Yeah, that's long process.
Very long.
It's just interesting that they keep. Have they been a previous client, or is it just someone new?
It is a new client, but there is a relationship there, and I know they're excited about doing stuff. It's just that they do have a lot going on, and their reasoning yesterday was they have an event this weekend, and they got in a day early to go set up for the event, and it's kind of a tight timeline. So they're like, hey, they're letting us in a day early. We're going to be there all day, so we're not going to be able to meet. Can we push it? And then the person we're meeting with after that is traveling for 2 weeks. So then that gets pushed back a couple weeks. And then after that, there's another event. So it got pushed to like the middle of April. Again, if it starts happening where now there's 2 or 3 more reschedules, then I would be a little bit more weary. But for now, I think, every not excuse, but every reason they've given me so far, it makes sense.
Seems legit.
Yeah. But if it gets to the point where it's not seeming legit, then I'm going to be like, what is going on?
And if it just keeps happening and happening and happening.
Yeah, that'd be annoying. But we'll see. I will also update on that as well. And we'll go from there. Kind of a long intro. That is all right. We're kind of going through things, and that's what you guys are here for. Tyler, anything else to update before we get into this week's topic?
No.
All right, so
so.
A little background on this week's topic is one, it took us about 17 hours to get it picked out. Excuse me. But we were going to film this last night. I had little to no energy. This podcast episode would have sucked for you guys. I made the executive decision to push it to this morning, and we were going through a bunch of different topics, spitballing a bunch of different ideas, and Tyler shot over the idea of the zero options mentality. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, because we were thinking and comparing Tyler's business to my business and what those look like. And they are a little bit different. Whereas Tyler's doing a lot. He's doing a bunch of different things. Maybe hasn't been involved in his business as long as I have been involved in Bennett Creative Media. So those are the 2 points we wanted to compare today and talk about that a little bit. So Tyler, with that being said, zero options mentality, what does this mean to you?
Just having no options. It's no plan B. It's only plan A. You focus on that one thing and getting that done and not having any other options.
A story or a quote that I heard when it comes to this is to burn the boats. Have you heard this before, Tyler, or no?
I have heard this before.
I saw actually someone selling a t-shirt on TikTok that just says burn the boats. But the theory of burn the boats is that if you and maybe, you have 3 ships and you guys are going to a new island to explore the island or to conquer the island, whatever it might be, once you arrive at that island, you need to light your boats on fire, let them sink, and you have no boats there. And basically, the premise of this is now that you're on the island, this is your only option. You're staying here, you're conquering it, you're getting it done. Those boats are not there for you to go back and find a different island or to go back to where you came from. It is to burn the boats, live with your decision that this is the island you chose and that this is the island you're going to conquer and take over, and move on with the day. So you can use that in business as well. So if you're going to start a new business, once you start your new painting business, whatever it is, burn the boats. Don't allow yourself any excuses to, oh, I'll go start this business, or, oh, I'll go over here. Oh, there's a backup plan if the painting business fails. That's where the burn the boats premise comes in, which I honestly like that. I like that saying. I'm going to start telling myself that more.
Get yourself a poster.
Who's going to burn the boats and logs?
Nah, you got to carry those.
Yeah, both.
But, so it sounds like you're pretty adamant that you don't want a plan B. You want just plan A and focus on that plan A.
Yeah. So I'm a big plan A guy. One, I've never been the kind of guy that has a backup plan. When I was starting my business, my mom told me, she's like, go get your real estate license. And then if the business doesn't work, you can sell houses. And I was like, I don't give a shit. I'm not doing that because the business is going to work, right? I'm not going to leave myself this plan B, because I feel like when you have that plan B, it's much more easy to lean towards it and to be able to fall back on it. Whereas I might not have worked as hard on my business because I had that real estate license. I can always go sell homes, or maybe I don't care as much about the business. Whereas plan A, starting Bennett Creative Media, a production company, That was the only option. It's like, you have to make this work, or you have to put your tail between your legs and go find a job doing whatever. So I've always been a plan A guy. Now, that doesn't mean that once you pick something, I think you should stick to it for 45 years. You can always pivot. You might be plan A 100%. You burn the boats. You're doing this for 5 years. And then one day you realize, I hate this. I don't want to do this anymore. Okay, that's fine. But now go into something else. Let's say instead of a painting business, now you do a snow shoveling business. Okay, well, now your snow shoveling business is your new island. Burn the boats from your snow shoveling business and go all in on that. So it's not saying you can't pivot, but just having that crutch that you're walking along with to be like, I can always lean back on the real estate license. That's where I don't know if I love that idea.
Yeah, it's making me seem or think about you're not fully immersed in what you're doing or believing in.
Yeah.
It's like you're kind of dipping your toes in there, and then it's like I'm just dabbling, and then it's like I'm not fully immersing myself in there. And I think that's where I step in.
Yeah, and I think you might not get the most out of it if you're going that direction, right? So maybe talk about your experience a little bit, Tyler, where it is more of a dipping your toe in the water rather than taking a cannonball into the deep end.
I have a lot of different options, which gives me my toes like dipping in a bunch of different buckets. And with those different buckets, I have the option of either, if this doesn't work, I have a fallback. And if that doesn't work, I have another fallback. And if that doesn't work, I have another fallback. And it's just my mind's thinking about so many different things that, okay, I don't really need to go all in over here because I have this. And it's like, I don't really need to go all in over here because I have that. So it's a little bit in everything. And those things are like the 9 to 5, my side business, whatever you want to call it, I guess YouTube channel as well. And my focus is just spread out all over the place where I don't have that one thing that I'm continually focusing on. And it's not allowing myself to go 100% in on one thing because I'm going like, I know we've had this discussion before that it's like you only have a certain amount of stuff that you can do. Like, so I'm like 30, 30, 33, 33 type of thing where it's like, I'm not fully immersed in every single thing that I'm doing.
And I think that there is a point when you can do more. So personally, and maybe this is just my experience, but in the beginning, you should really go gung-ho into one thing, right? Let's say it's production. I'm slacking on a lot, right? Personal brand, probably slacked a little bit. The YouTube channel and the social media content, let's say working out, that's slacked a little bit. Maybe, some other things that I do, whether it's men's league softball or men's league hockey, whatever it is. All of those things are taking a back seat because I'm gung-ho on this one thing. Eventually, when you get to the point where, hey, I have a business, it's pretty self-sustaining. Like, I don't have to work on it every single day. If I went on a 4-day vacation, it can run itself. I have a team in place to run it. Maybe that's when you can sprinkle in a little bit more of the 33% here, 33% there. You're working 70% on the business, but you want to do 10% on this side thing, 10% on the Weibo. You're like, I really kind of have a passion for this, so I want to do this. Or I'm like, hey, I really have a passion for craps and gambling. Maybe I'll start an event company where we move, I work 4 weekends a year and we bring the craps table and we deal for these different events, right? That's some stuff you can do, but to get the most out of that early success and to get to that point, I feel like you do have to go gung-ho before you spread yourself out. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think so, especially just starting out as well, because if you're focusing on too many different things, like your time's not going to be spent enough in that one area. It's going to take you longer to do that one thing. So if you're spreading your time out over, say, 5 different things, it might take you 5 times as long for each one. And then you might never end up getting to that point where it's like that tipping point where you kind of see the success coming in, and then you end up quitting before it gets there just because you were spreading your time out in 5 different areas and you never got to that point where you did see the success and you're like, this isn't going to work for me. And then you end up quitting because you weren't able to give yourself enough time.
Something I thought of when you were saying that, let's say you have 5 pillars and they're all one bar, right? All those bars are, if you're working on all of them, let's say 20% each, they're all moving at the same speed upwards, right?
Yeah.
But if you have, let's say you pick one of them and you go gung ho in that, you're going to skyrocket that up to the top. And the other bars, they might be way lower, but having that high bar and learning all of those mistakes from just going in on that one thing is going to allow you to now move to that second bar. And that's going to skyrocket way faster than it would if you were learning the mistakes for every single thing at the same time. Does that kind of make sense, what I'm trying to explain?
It does. Why are you moving to the second bar?
Well,
what's the purpose of the second one?
But if you got 5 things and you're like, oh, I want to grow these, instead of growing them all together, grow your one thing. And then when you move on to your next adventure, or maybe you start another business, you're going to be able to grow that way faster because you have the experience from the first one. You have the knowledge, maybe you have more connections, and it's way easier to grow that second one. So just going gung ho on that first one allows that slow growth that you previously had to now be way quicker, just because you put all your focus on one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Something I thought of when you're explaining that.
Yeah, I guess it just comes back to the option of like, you don't have to switch, but you're just focusing on that one, and that one skyrockets, and maybe you do stick with that one. Whereas like if you have that 5, they never get to that point where it is that skyrocket, and then you're like, you never get to that point where maybe you do love what you do, and like you end up growing them to a point where it's like, okay, this was worth it.
I want to go back to the plan B thing, because I had a question and then I went off on a different tangent. But right now, like you said, you're doing 5 different things, 20% all of them, right? You're not solely focused on one thing. What do you think your life would be like if you, let's say, quit everything and just focused on the business? You quit your 9 to 5, you had no crutch, you burned the boats. What do you think that would look like?
I have no idea. I think fairly similar. I would potentially have more time in the day. I would be doing different activities. I would be trying to grow the business. I don't know where my life would look like financially, though. I think that's the biggest aspect of it, because it's just basically taking away a whole income. But at the same time, it's like you're kind of capped with the salary versus building a business. So
yeah, maybe we transition into that. The financial aspect of things, where not everybody, so it's good to have a plan B for some people, right? And that's if you're someone that wants to live the 9 to 5 life, the safety is there, where maybe you don't there's not as much risk, but there's still risk. You could always get fired from somewhere. But is it safer to really have that plan B?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. I just want to say like something that Jim Carrey said that I really liked about what he said. He was talking about his dad and how he had a safe job. He was an accountant, and I think he would say like his dad was like better than him or whatever. He was funnier or whatever it might be. And he took the safe route, quote unquote, and he stayed as an accountant, and he ended up getting fired. And he wasn't really happy doing that. And the story that he tells is he decided to go this route because he thought it was safe, and he didn't enjoy it. And he ended up getting fired from something that he thought was safe. So there was failure at the end of something that he was doing that he thought was safe that he didn't enjoy.
It's a masked safeness. It's not really all that much safer than entrepreneurship. The nice part about entrepreneurship, if you start a business, if it fails, if you do it for 4 or 5 years and you're getting by and it fails, you are exactly where everybody else is at. If you're like, I can't do this, it's not for me, right? You're exactly where everybody else is at, where you can go get a job just like them. You're not out anything. Yeah. They don't make you go back to school, or they don't make you do any of that. So there's really no point in not trying it. unless if you're a person that wants to try it. If you're somebody that's like, I'm fine with the 9 to 5, right? I don't want all that stress. I don't want to take a bunch of risk. That's fine. But not for you, Tyler, because I know you're not like that.
Just a lost chicken running around with his head cut off.
Maybe you need to put yourself in an uncomfortable position.
I don't know what would be uncomfortable.
Quitting your job would be uncomfortable.
Yeah, it would be.
One day I want to see when you get to that point where you quit your job, what that first year looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think you're going to realize you should have done it way sooner.
Yeah. We've said this before.
Yeah.
And I think I will probably say that too.
Yeah. As long as it happens at some point.
I think it's also the story of the dog on a nail. Did you hear about that one?
I haven't.
Sitting or laying on a nail. So there's this person that goes into like a convenience store or whatever, and there's a dog outside the store, and the dog's like groaning. It's like, and he goes in, and then he's like, "Hey, that dog's like groaning. Is it okay?" And then it's like, "Yeah, it's fine. It's sitting on a nail." And then it's like, "Why doesn't he move?" He's like, "It's not hurting enough to make him want to move."
Yeah, exactly.
So it's kind of the story, like you're at the point where it's like, it's better to go like, oh man, I was just listening to something the other day where it's like, it's better to like go to zero, like complete rock bottom, than being where you're currently at, because where you're currently at is like, you're at a complacent stage and it's like, I'm fine where I'm at. It's like, there's not enough pain that you're experiencing to want to change your certain circumstances.
Isn't there a theory or philosophy like the 1 mile rule? Anything under a mile, you're going to walk.
Yeah.
Anything over
exactly
a mile, you're going to drive.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. So you are currently, let's say you're at 3/4 of a mile right now in pain, and you just keep walking because it's under a mile. If the pain got to about over a mile, you'd quit your job, you'd start driving, you'd figure out something else to do because you can't bear the pain.
Exactly. That was the exact analogy that they used in the podcast as well. And they talk about it because I'll send you the podcast after, but they talk about it and it's really interesting because they talk about it as these high level net worth individuals where they get to a certain point and they kind of have that certain like mindset, like they got to 500 million or they got to 1 billion, and that kind of got them on their cruise at that point where it's like they're not in that pain anymore. Yeah. It's like, where's that point? Because like everyone has that different spot. It's like some person might be at like $50,000. Some people might be at $250,000. Some people might be at 500 million. So it's like we're all in different spots.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all like that different boiling tipping point for everyone.
Makes me think, I wonder what my tipping point is now that I'm in it.
Mm-hmm. Because it's always probably going to move at the same time. But like at the same time, you might get to that certain point where you get comfortable and then you get complacent. And then it's like, oh, now I'm kind of there.
Yeah.
But you don't ever realize it.
Unless you actively think about it.
Yeah, or you just have like that urgency, or you have like something that you're striving for, and then it keeps you driven and keeps you moving, and I don't know.
Or you have someone that hounds you about it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I want you to quit your job, Tyler.
Don't we all?
Yeah, I want you to. I don't know how to make you do it though. After your Ironman, this is my grace period I'm giving you. After your Ironman,
I'm that dog on the nail. I'm that dog on the nail right now.
Yeah, how can you be the dog not on the nail? How can you be the dog that's running the convenience store that instead of sitting on the nail at the convenience store?
It's because where I work is honestly like a good place to work. Like
for someone that wants 9 to 5. No place is a good place to work if you want to grow a business.
I'll say this: the CEO and myself, like we're like very similar in mindset in like everything that we do. Like he reads, like he gave me a bunch of book recommendations. Like he's really driven as well, and like we connected pretty good. Like when I first went there and first met him and everything like that, and like we're pretty close. Like we're obviously in different stages in life because he's married and has kids, and like he wants to have that be kind of like his season in life right now. Yeah. So we are a little bit different seasons of life because of that. It's like I'd be more willing to go all in, but compared to him, because he does want to spend time with his family. But for it I don't know. It's a good place to work if like it.
Maybe you should maybe you should go to him, because it sounds like you have a decent relationship with him, and say, hey, I love working here. This place is fantastic, but I mentally cannot get myself to stop thinking about what would I do at the end of my life if I didn't try. And maybe you say, I'm going to take a leave of absence for a year, unpaid. Give me a year. And if it doesn't work, if I come back begging on my hands and knees,
that's plan B,
that you'll give me a job.
Isn't that a plan B?
It is a plan B. But at least then you know that, hey, you go through a year. Because I know with you, if you had a year, that you would go 100% all in, because you know, you're like, hey, I have a year. I got to let them know in 1 year from now. So you try to make something out of that year to figure out, is this even sustainable? Am I cut out for this?
Yeah. I just have...
Because I think you're worried.
Just my priorities.
I think you're worried about if you quit this job, something doesn't work, and you have to go find another job, that you're not going to get as good of a situation as you have now.
Potentially, yeah.
Because you might work and you do it for a year and a half, and you're like, I hate this. I don't want to run a business. I just want to do stuff on the side, which is totally fine. But you're going to get to the point where you're like, okay, I need to find another job. You can't get a job remote at the same company, kind of work on your own terms. And you have to go get an in-person office job, or you have to do something that you don't enjoy doing as much as you do right now.
Mm-hmm. Could be. Very well.
But
who knows?
What I think is going to happen is you're going to quit. You're going to think that it's going to be scary. Then you're going to do it for a year and a half. You're going to be like, this is crazy. This is fun. This is awesome.
Yeah.
And you might not make very much money the first year, but you know, the nice part about running a business, you might make less, you know, let's say you make 30 grand your first year. It's never going to really go down from that. It's only going to be an exponential growth up. Whereas at a business where you're employed, W-2, you might get a 3% raise every year, or 5% raise, which is what, $1 or $2 an hour. So you might have to eat shit in the beginning, but you're prepared for that. And I know I'm just preaching to the choir right now, because it's all things you know, but just want you to remember all of this.
I know. I think it just goes back to my priorities, and my priority right now is Ironman. So I don't know.
That's a grace period. So after the Ironman,
what if I sign up for another one?
I don't give a fuck. I never ever want to ever hear about business come out of your mouth ever again. Well, you could do it both, but you could train for the Ironman, which is how often, like, what does your Ironman training look like every day? 4 hours, 5 hours?
Oh no.
Less?
There's other time commitments to it, because it's like I'm burning a lot of calories. So then I got to eat a lot, and I got to cook a lot, and I got to clean a lot of dishes. So that takes up extra time. But I mean, I would say I spend on average like maybe 2 to 2.5 hours a day on average.
You're not helping your argument here. If you sign up for another Ironman, I'm going to say quit your fucking job, and you'll have 16 hours a day to do Ironman.
No.
And to build a business.
Yeah.
And I don't even care if you do 4 hours as your Ironman, which is apparently more than your average. Then you'd still have 12 hours to work on the business, which is plenty.
Mm-hmm. But it's like, there's other costs that go into it, you know? Like I got to get ready, and then I got to shower afterwards every time. So I take 2 showers a day.
That's why I gave you that shower and a half.
Sometimes that shower is really warm, and and I spend a little extra time in there.
Okay, take 6 hours then. Now you have 10 hours to build a business. You can't get out of this, Tyler.
I know.
So
I know. I think about this every day.
good. I'm gonna keep hounding you until you quit. I'm gonna call your boss and tell him you did something racist or something. I'm gonna just be like, I'm gonna get you fired. That's what it's gonna come down to. It's gonna be 2 years from now. We're gonna be episode 189 of the podcast, and I'm gonna get your ass fired.
This kind of this episode turned into a therapy session.
Good. I like it. I like it. Right. But this is now you guys know this is the difference between having option A. I have the production company. If it doesn't work, I'm probably fucked for a little bit. And Tyler, because if something doesn't work for Tyler, he's fine. Quote unquote fine. He's masked as fine. And that's, it's the life we live.
You know what's crazy about it? If I were to say get fired, I would be fine with it.
Yeah. That's why I'm going to get you fired, and I won't feel bad.
Yeah. That's the crazy part about it.
Yeah. Because then I
have like confrontational issues and commitment issues.
Email them and don't answer calls then.
Hey, I'm done.
It's my 2 week notice. Don't ask me about it. Don't text me about it. Nothing. 2 weeks. I'll work until then.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, I feel you there though. I would never want to quit a job. I feel like that would suck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Especially like when you build this relationship that I have with everyone there.
Maybe, do they do any content stuff or SEOs? Maybe you can somehow have a partnership with them. It can be one of your clients.
I don't know. I don't think that'll happen. Like my old manager did the same thing where she's like, she originally went part-time first, and then she's like, I got to quit. And then she quit, and she's like, if you guys ever need help, wanted any like subcontractor or any help like that, they haven't done anything with her. So
yeah,
it wouldn't happen.
Which that's okay, and maybe there's a relationship, you have that relationship, but you maintain that relationship by checking in with the CEO, sending him a birthday text, sending him a birthday gift, happy anniversary, whatever it is. Do that with all the people there. Cause then you still have that relationship and you don't look like, oh, that's just the kid that quit,
Yeah. I think if I quit, I would do it right.
Yeah. Which is
Can't
good.
burn the bridges.
No. You can burn the boats, though. Tell them you're burning the boats.
Yeah.
Hey.
It's like,
what's CEO's
think
first
that
name?
Is like Spencer.
It's, hey, Spencer. Burning the boats this week? He's like, what? You're like, Google it, call me back, and we'll have a conversation.
He would understand.
Yeah. Well, that's good. It's a good position to be in where they would understand instead of pissed off.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying he would understand the reference.
Oh.
Not the... He might be a little upset, but...
Yeah. That happens.
Losing their best employee.
Tell them, hey, I'm going to quit within the year. You don't know when it's going to be, but I promise you at some point, I'm going to tell you I'm working for 2 more weeks. So then it kind of lessens the blow a little bit.
Right. At some point throughout this year.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's kind of all we got. Tyler, anything else that you want to touch on here?
I don't know. This is a therapy session. I'm not sure how much of this we covered, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think we covered it in our own creative ways, a lot of it, but that's all right.
Are we changing the title of the episode or topic? But
Zero Options Mentality Therapy Session.
There is like the one thought that like I do have where I have like this steady income coming in, and it's like I don't need to go out and get more customers for my business because I already have that steady income coming in. And I think that just goes back to like the zero options mentality where I have all these options, and it's like I have this option where it's bringing in money, and it's like I don't need this to survive.
Whereas if you quit, you would realize, okay, I need 2 more clients this month, or I can't eat.
Yeah.
And that puts a much different mindset than, that's why you're not actively trying to get clients now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is something when you depend on yourself, it is much harder. but it is much more rewarding. Same thing that I'm going to be going through when I hire somebody. I'm going to be now put in that situation where, okay, I need clients or I can't pay this person. Which
Are you willing to cut your own salary for your employees' benefit?
Yeah, if it came down to paying them or paying me, I mean, probably not forever. If it's just eventually, if it's eventually like, okay, it's been 6 months and I can't make enough money for the both of us, like I got to let you go or put you on part-time or something like that.
Yeah.
And then you reevaluate, you know, okay, maybe I actually needed more of a salesperson than I did an editor, whatever that might be. So
I think giving yourself that runway too, it's like 6 months. I'm sure you're going to be able to generate enough income to cover or get that back up. So it's like, okay, I got what X amount of time, and then you're able to cover it. And then just like, are you not able to have that or have more revenue come in?
Yeah. And yeah, I don't want to get too much into that because that'd be a whole nother tangent would go down, but maybe we could do an episode about hiring and the thought process behind the first hire. That'd be an interesting one, maybe.
Yeah. I got no input on that one, but I'll help. I'll try and coach you through it.
Yeah.
And give you a therapy
session. The questioner. Yeah. This is just this podcast turning into therapy, whatever. Okay. Tyler, anything else?
No, I think, I'm ready to hear this business idea that you got here.
Yeah, so it's probably one of my best ones that I've ever came up with. I was filming at the rink. We were filming the USA Canada Paralympic sled hockey border battle. And how that goes is I walk around with a camera all over the rink. I'm shooting from up top. I'm shooting from the mezzanine, from on ice level, from the benches. And I have a coffee at points if it's an early morning game, or I have a bottle of water or something, and I have nowhere to put that thing. So it would be cool if there's two different variations of this. One, if you could have like an attachment to your camera that's like a cup holder. So then it's like, you know, I have my handle on the right side, maybe right behind the handle is just a little cup holder that I can slide my cup into. So I can always walk around the whole rink and I can always have something to drink. Or the second variation of it would be some sort of Camelback. Have you seen, you know, those backpacks that has like a straw? It's like liquid in the backpack. Maybe you could slap that like to the bottom of the camera or to the side of the camera somewhere where you tuck a little straw into the handle. And when you want some lemonade or whatever you got, pull out the straw, you can drink. Because that's something when you're shooting events like this hockey game, I couldn't just like go walk somewhere and get some water. Because what if you miss a goal? Hockey, they don't score a ton of goals necessarily all the time. So you kind of need to be there. And then in between periods, you're shooting the in-between period on ice stuff. You're shooting crowd shots. You're shooting atmosphere stuff. So there's not really a time to just go and have a little break.
So you can't just wear a Camelback?
Yeah, but that's weird. You know?
It's weird unless you're running.
Pretty much, unless you're working out. Like, who walks around with a Camelback just hanging out? Like, imagine I was working an office job walking around with a Camelback.
Yeah. So the only issue that I think of is you'd always have to hold the camera upright, and then there's always like an extra spot that because like you can't just tip it sideways. If you tip it sideways, maybe it spills on your camera. And it's like, oh shit. So then you always have to hold it upright.
I would say it would be cool if there was some sort of
zero gravity cup.
Well, not that, but one, if you have a bottle, so that's fine. Like if you have a twist off bottle, say you have a bottle of water, that's fine. Or some sort of cup, like my coffee cup kind of has that where I can flip a switch and it locks the top. I don't know what the leaking situation would be like, but the cup holder comes with some sort of cup like that where one, you stick it in and there's almost like a cup holder in a car where it's got those squishy things that kind of keep it in there. But there's some sort of snapping mechanism where it goes in and it locks, and then you could tip it fully upside down and it's not going to come out of the cup holder. And then maybe to take it out, you just hit a little button and pull it out, like a little lever thing. So maybe including the cup with it would be good. And it also fits bottles.
Makes it a lot heavier too. Because I was carrying your camera around and that shit ain't light.
No. Yeah.
That's like adding like an extra couple pounds.
Yeah.
Maybe you just got to get
1 pound
that.
if it's 16 ounces. Plus, yeah.
You just got to get that chest strap thing for the camera, and then you attach the camera.
Easy rig.
And then you got the gimbal. Yeah. And then you look like a real weirdo because you got like this massive thing for like a hockey game or whatever event that you're doing.
I've seen people do it before, though. Honestly, I want to get one of those. With the big month of March that I've had, I've got some money in my new gear account that I'm gonna have to splurge a little bit with. So,
oh shit,
maybe
get a Sony.
No, I need a new gimbal. That's probably first up, and then we'll see what else I could get. A new lens,
I feel like
maybe.
You never use gimbals.
I don't, but there are times when I'm on a shoot or a client's like, oh, we want like a smooth shot of this. And I'm like, I don't want to set up the Dana dolly. I don't want to shoot in 120 frames per second to make sure it's slow. So having a gimbal would be nice. That's probably the best bet for my next purchase. And then maybe I'll go easy rig. That'd be cool too. But getting off topic again. Camera cup. That's what I called it. Camera back, slap back, whatever you want to call it. Just give me some liquids on my camera.
I like it.
All right.
Got to lock it in place though and make sure there's no leakage.
Come with the cup. That's what I kind of like that. Or maybe some sort like the handle that's on the side is just empty and you can put liquids in it. So then it doesn't add weight. A flask that's actually a piece of the camera. So a handle that's a flask.
Tilt the whole camera.
But maybe there's mine right now is a lever where you can push it off and then pull it off and then snap it back in. Maybe you just push the button, pull it off, drink out of it, snap it back on. That's better. A camera handle flask.
Then it could potentially get sticky, and then you got your,
Maybe there's a little straw that pops out, and then the straw flips back in.
Flip it up.
Yeah, like in a Walla, those new water bottles that has like a built-in straw. Have you seen those or no? I'll send you a picture after the show. We're getting
up to date.
We're getting a little crazy. All right, Tyler, anything else?
No, that's everything.
That's episode 81 of The Midnight Entrepreneur. If you have any questions you'd like us to cover or answer, email us at themidnightentrepreneur@gmail.com. We'll get back to that in a couple of months. If you found value in this content or found this entertaining, share this with a friend or post it on your story. And if you really enjoyed the show, we'd love a rating and review wherever you're listening. Talk to you guys next week for another episode of The Midnight Entrepreneur.
The greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Nelson Mandela.